The NHS belongs to the people. It is there to improve our health and well-being, supporting us to keep mentally and physically well, to get better when we are ill, and, when we cannot fully recover, to stay as well as we can to the end of our lives. "25% of people in the UK are currently experiencing a mental health issue, but 75% of those people are not getting the help they need."
Sometimes people hear support and help and it holds a very negative connotation, and so we need support across the board to show that it isn't a weak thing to be getting help, that it's something that's common. What's mentionable is manageable, and the first step to getting help is to make sure that we don't have a stigma.
I think there's an interesting comparison between the UK and the US. I think the UK, generally speaking, are more repressed people, and mental health, at least in my day, when I grew up at school, was a lot less acceptable. Was very rarely, if ever, spoken about. It was just something that if you had a mental illness, you stiff up a lip, get on with it, don't talk about it, deal with it, and it wasn't really understood to be what it is, which is an illness that you don't really have any control over.
Besides the stigma, the government fails to assist those with mental illnesses. Citizens of the UK notice how healthcare systems prioritize physical illness over mental illness.
Mental challenges should be received and get the full attention that physical challenges get. It's really tough when you have a broken leg and you're trying to walk through the door. You've got a million people already opening the door for you, asking what happened to you, because it's tangible and people can see it. However, mental challenges are not in your face all of the time, and people are not as willing to get involved. They may have experience with it, but they feel like they don't want to open up the door for that person because they can't see it. The result is the complications that you would get from a physical impairment are the exact same as you would from a mental impairment, and they should be treated the same. So even if we figured out the stigma and people were willing to get the help, and often when they're ready, the waiting time for them to receive psychological services is 16 to 167 days.
The lack of awareness in the UK can be detrimental to the economy as well. 12 million workdays are lost a year to mental health issues. So, what role does the government have in fixing the UK's ongoing stigma surrounding mental health?
Government really needs to provide resources and education, starting in elementary school, what would be age appropriate and developmentally appropriate for an elementary school, carrying over to middle, carrying over to high school, and then carrying over to adulthood in the workforce. Mental illness and mental health challenges don't stop at a certain age, and the more educated people are and the more resources they have, the more willing they are to use those. Psychologists and government institutions really are on the intervention side of things, so they react when something happens and people have to go to the hospital to receive help. That's when they step in, so they have power once they're in reaction mode.
My concern with the UK, as with the US, is as the government spends less money, mental health tends to be one of the aspects, or one of the costs that gets cut first. It's easy to cut costs on mental health because it's quite undefinable.
Some positive news in the UK surrounds Kate Middleton, Prince Harry, and Prince William, who have gotten together an organization called Heads Together, which aims to break the silence and the stigma with mental health. And this is a really big major step in the right direction for the UK.